All right, this is the recording for Gateway's design uh, professional practices interview with our good pal over here. Can you introduce yourself to the class then?
Hello, I am Donovan Shear from Studio Moonfall. It's a bookstore and publishing company in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
All right. All right, so since you already did kind of the few basic introductory stuff that I did, do you have any affiliation with Gateway that the classmates should know about?
Yep, I graduated from Gateway in 2007, I believe, and I was also a teacher there for some of the animation and character design and classes like that.
Yep. So bad that I missed you that because I'm big into animation right now. So let's get into some of the main questions that were asked before we get into the just questions that I have personally that I think the classmates should also feel like they should know as well. So, what first brought you into the field? Like, what inspired you to become who you are today?
So I'd always written stories and made up characters and everything. And then I wanted to go to Gateway to just learn how to level up on the artwork to bring all those characters to life. And I went for graphic design. And then once I finished school, I got a few jobs in graphic design, but then I ended up learning all the things along the way to put together my own books and stuff and launch the publishing company. So I started with that in 2009. I started writing, illustrating, and publishing the books.
Oh. What are some things that you wish you knew before getting into the field?
Um, I don't think there's anything. I think I just learned everything along the way and just rolled with it and focused on the things that were the most interesting and I felt did the most for things that I wanted to work on in the future.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense a lot. And what are some issues that you had, like, as you went along that you've personally had to deal with, like deadline, stress, long hours, time management, keeping up skills, and like legal issues too, as well?
I think mostly just when you're doing it all on your own and doing whatever you want with your art, you can get spread into too many directions.
Yeah.
So after doing the first couple books, I needed to figure out how to sell those books. So I taught myself programming and launched a game for iPhone and Android, and that's where the Zombies come from.
Yeah.
So I took I don't think I took any classes on programming at Gateway until after I had put out the game.
Oh.
And then I just wanted to sharpen up my skills because I already had the game out there. But yeah, it was a lot more to learn that I didn't want to invest too much time in because I had all the other things going on.
Mhm. All right. So this is now going to be like more of the personal questions that I've thought of. They didn't give us much to go off of for like the questions that the class wanted to be answered. So these are more of like things that I personally want to know of. So like what programs do you use to like do all your art stuff?
I use Adobe, mostly Adobe stuff. I use Photoshop for the final design work. I do a lot of the illustration and coloring on Procreate on an
Oh.
iPad. I do most of it in pencil initially, but then just photograph it, bring it into Procreate to ink it, color it, and then I send it off to Photoshop to do the final designs, and then Adobe InDesign for when I'm formatting books. I also work with Adobe Premiere for most of the video stuff that I do.
Yeah. That sounds good because I personally want to be an animator. So that's kind of why I asked the question. So like just to know like the steps of like what some people in like the business use before getting into it. And that's just been one of the big questions that has been hovering over my head is like what are some good like softwares to use to start like at least mapping out the designs before the characters before I bring it into like an animation software to start animating everything.
Yeah, pencil and paper, that's always the best starting point.
Yep. That is always the best starting point to kind of come up with designs of the characters and just to create them in the end. And another thing I wanted to ask is like what inspired you to like start all the writing? Is it just something of your childhood that you just always been interested in writing? Because that's kind of how I am too, is that I loved writing as a child. I would draw every single comic every Sunday. I would come home from Sunday school and usually sit down and start drawing out a little comic about usually wolves or cats, usually because I was so big on animals back then.
So yeah, yeah, just keep that's the same sort of thing that I did with weird monsters and stuff like that. And then just kept at it and making the books just to tell their story. And I was originally gonna go to school for film. I did a little bit of that in Chicago and at Parkside, but we're in Wisconsin. We're in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We don't have a booming film industry here.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
a
figure with
downside.
the books and illustrations, I can produce everything in-house and don't have to move. So I'm
Yeah,
good.
it's that's the big side of it is that you don't get to move and you do something that I can tell you absolutely love to do.
Yeah.
And what I also like is that you are very unique with yourself, that you are truly unapologetically you when it comes to your art. So if there's like people who come into the store, they instantly get to know you rather than knowing like a business motto of what you want to set out. You bring out your own personal self and you let other people know who you truly are. And that's something I really like about
Yeah.
you,
Thank you.
about the whole entirety of Studio Moonfall. Is there anything else you would like to say to the class or like give any like final remarks before we end this off and anything else?
So I do bring in guest authors every Friday here, and I'm just starting to bring in comic creators on Sundays
Ooh,
from 11 to 2. So we'll see how that goes. I got to find more local comic creators since I haven't been doing comic conventions as much as I used to. But yeah, if you want to stop by and meet other people that are doing that, come by the shop and check it out. And the store
yeah.
itself is all local and indie authors and artists, so you get a real good variety of people that are just starting fresh out of college or still in college and just trying to make something come to life.
Yep. And that's very good. And I think that'll be it for now. I'll pause the recording is and then I'll get into like editing it after we're done if there's anything else you would like to just chat about or anything really.
Yeah, no, I think we covered most of it. But yeah, yeah, and feel free to reach out if anybody in class has questions or just
Yep.
take a field trip over to Studio Moonfall.
Yeah. Because the place is amazing. If you had never been there, I would always recommend it to everybody.
Thank you.
All right.